And according to the failing New York Times, at a dinner with some of his donors, he said the vice president was, quote, retarded. Embarrassed him in the debate, Trump has doubled down on insulting Kamala Harris's intelligence. He calls her low IQ. He called her mentally disabled.
Did you catch Trump's latest bizarre moment? He's now talking about nuclear warming, which, spoiler alert, doesn't exist. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel is daring him to prove he's still got it mentally. So, will Trump rise to the challenge or keep us guessing? For someone who brags about his physical fitness, his medical records sure are hard to come by, like trying to find Waldo in a sea of stripes. You'd think someone who calls himself a stable genius would want to show it off, right? Nope, not Trump. His doctors seem to be treated like subpoenas ignored. And wait until you hear what Kamala Harris just did. Let's break it down in the latest political buzz.
Trump has not released his medical report. He has not released his medical report. He's not released his tax returns, his health care.
Trump's medical records are guarded tighter than Fort Knox, just like his real hair. It's almost like he's running his own personal witness protection program with all that secrecy. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is practically live-streaming her yearly checkups. As for her health, the White House doctor gave her the green light, though with one small note that she's got.
Is not a healthy individual. You know, Kamala Harris released her medical information over the weekend, mild nearsightedness and hives. Gee, I wonder what could be giving her hives. According to the White House doctor, the vice president is in excellent health other than seasonal allergies.
Kamala Harris, it turns out, just has allergies and needs glasses. Pretty standard stuff, right? It's almost like she's challenging Trump to be as open about his health as she is. But here's the interesting bit. Remember when Trump and Harris squared off? Well, it seems Trump's memory of that is a little fuzzy. He's been going around accusing Harris of having a low IQ.
And according to the failing New York Times, at a dinner with some of his donors, he said the vice president was, quote, retarded. Embarrassed him in the debate, Trump has doubled down on insulting Kamala Harris's intelligence. He calls her low IQ. He called her mentally disabled.
According to Trump, if you can beat him in a debate, you must be losing your mind. Who would have guessed? Meanwhile, Kamala Harris doctors are asking, what's the big secret, Mr. President? They've reviewed Harris's medical history, so where's Trump's? It's like he's in the doctor's office but forgot to sign the permission slip. Honestly, this whole thing feels like an episode of Asterisk, the young and the restless Asterisk, but with one key difference. Asterisk, the old and the secretive Asterisk. Some political careers have lasted longer than Trump's medical records have stayed hidden. Scandalous, right? All we can do now is wait for the big reveal. Is there an evil twin we don't know about? His bone spurs have magically healed, and we've all heard the "I'm in perfect health" claims before. But here's the puzzle. If Trump is in such great shape, why does his nuclear policy seem so reckless? The gap between what he says and reality is almost as surprising as one of his 3 a.m. tweets.
Guy who's up in the middle of the night reading tweets about himself wants to give someone else a cognitive test. He was up at 1:12 a.m. posting, I believe it is very important that Kamala Harris pass a test. Watched her ace that test when she handed you your tangerine ass in the debate, but...
Gone are the days when Trump's team couldn't stop praising his perfect health. Things are moving faster than a gust of wind in Trump's hair. You'd think a guy so confident about his well-being would jump at the chance to prove it, right? But here we are, still in the dark, with those medical records more mysterious than ever. Maybe Trump's not hiding anything. Perhaps his records are just on a romantic getaway with his tax returns. Who knows? What we do know is his public appearances suggest he's about as far from perfect health as Mar-a-Lago is from being a secure document storage facility. Speaking of Trump's recent speeches, they're starting to sound like something a movie villain would say. Darker, angrier, and way less logical. It's like watching a game of Jenga with words, just waiting for it all to collapse. And then, there's his new buzzword, nuclear warming, which he's been throwing around like it's the latest trendy ice cream flavor. Spoiler alert, it's not real. If he's talking about some nuclear-powered version of global warming, someone should really hide the big red button. Lately, Trump seems to be having trouble identifying weapons. I mean, who hasn't confused a hunting rifle with a bazooka, right? It's like trying to buy Greenland or accidentally putting your jeans on sideways. It happens. Despite what we see in public, some people are still buying into his health claims. It's like a magician swearing he can cut someone in half, only to whip out a butter knife instead. And let's not forget his speeches. They're more convoluted than the twists of the Mississippi River. He repeats himself more than a scratched record, and his thoughts bounce around like a kangaroo on a trampoline. Maybe it's all part of Trump's master plan, or maybe his so-called genius isn't quite as sharp as he wants us to believe. If Trump were an app update, you probably get a warning. This may not work as expected. Forget medical records. Can Trump even name an elephant on live TV? That's the real question. Now the political world is on the edge of its seat, waiting for Jimmy Kimmel to throw down the intellectual gauntlet. Is this a test Trump is willing to take, or will he steer clear? Stay tuned.
If you're too scared to debate again, I dare you to take a cognitive test against the vice president. You can pull one out of the pile and you and Kamala take the same. That way there's no chance of shenanigans.
Just when we thought the Trump health saga couldn't get any weirder, Jimmy Kimmel decided to crank up the heat. He's no longer just asking for medical records. Now he's taking it to the next level, game show style. Kimmel's proposing that Trump take a live cognitive test on national television. And here's the kicker. He wants to turn it into a pay-per-view event. Will Trump rise to the challenge, or will he dodge this public showdown? Stay tuned, because things are about to get even more interesting.
Make it a pay-per-view. I will pay you $49.99 to watch that. Both take a cognitive test live on television. We'll stack up 1,000 tests.
Why watch Asterisk, The Apprentice Asterisk, when you could witness the former president try to memorize a sequence of 5 words? But here's the real twist. Kimmel's not just doing this for laughs. He's tapping into a legitimate political debate. A growing number of Americans believe presidential candidates should take cognitive tests. Basically, the question, is our potential leader smarter than a 5th grader, has become a serious concern. Let's be real, though. Trump isn't exactly jumping at the chance to show off his brain power on national TV. He's been dodging questions about his medical records like they're subpoenas. As Kimmel pointed out, Trump won't even reveal basic info like his blood pressure, which seems to be more top secret than nuclear codes in Trump's world. But here's where things get interesting. This isn't just about Trump anymore. It's part of a bigger conversation about what we should expect from our leaders. Trump, the longest-serving presidential nominee from a major party, has given us little more than vague doctor notes saying, yep, he's alive. And now, people are starting to think that maybe, just maybe, Kimmel's challenge should be taken seriously. It's like a political Rorschach test. People's reactions are all over the place. Some think it's a great idea, demanding more transparency, while others find it either hilarious or a cheap shot. But one thing's for sure, no matter what side you're on, Team AEGA or Team anyone but Trump, everyone would probably tune in to this cognitive showdown. If Trump accepts Kimmel's challenge and aces it, he could go on a victory tour saying, "I told you so," to everyone who's ever doubted his sanity. But if he fumbles or has technical difficulties, well, let's just say late-night comedians will have a field day. And if Trump refuses, it won't quiet those who already have doubts. Rumors will just keep swirling. Is every stable genius really that stable? It's a classic damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. This feels like an intellectual version of Asterisk. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? Asterisk, except instead of kids, we're testing potential presidents on their mental fitness to handle the nuclear button. Kimmel's challenge aside, it raises an important issue. Shouldn't we expect more transparency from Asterisk, all Asterisk, of our leaders about their mental fitness? It's not just about Trump. It's about setting a higher standard for everyone who holds office.